Surviving Without Survivor specialist Phil and Alexa are back with our 6th episode of our Disney rewatch series. If you've been a part of this since the beginning, welcome back. If you haven't, welcome. This has been a lot of fun. We have done 5 Disney classics. Somehow, some way, we are already into the back half of this series. Alexa, it doesn't make any sense to me. How are we on episode 6 of this already?
I think it's a beauty that Survivor isn't on, and maybe that's a horrible take, but I love Aladdin. I can't say I loved watching Snow White, but this has been a ton of fun. It's just been really different. Our fans seem to have been really enjoying this. We have 12 live viewers. Last week we only had 4 live viewers, so this is a huge improvement over last week. But this has been a ton of fun, and the beauty of this is, you told me how many Disney animated movies there are. We've watched 5. We have if we want to do this once a week, we could probably keep this going for another couple of years.
We really could. We could really keep this going. We could branch out into anything we possibly wanted. And despite the fact, and I said this last time, despite the fact that we only get 4 to 10 or whatever live, we're getting a lot of people who are downloading on Spotify, who are downloading on iTunes. So keep on doing that. I'm pretty sure the last episode had more downloads than a couple of the episodes from Winners at War. And our last episode was Beauty and the Beast. So even though the numbers on YouTube don't look astounding, we're going to continue doing this because it actually is beneficial to us because it's building up whatever's going on over on iTunes and Spotify. So continue doing what you're all doing. We appreciate it. Survivor fans, we are doing the Survivor China rewatch, which has been fun. We did episode 1. We got episode 2 coming up this Wednesday. And then we have episode 3 and 4, which is going to have Leslie and PG. Awesome. That's going to be a lot of fun. Back to back. And so doing this Disney thing has kind of been a breath of fresh air and gives me a reason to continue watching Disney animated movies. And for anybody who's here and hasn't figured out what we're talking about, because we haven't said it yet, it's Aladdin Day. It's Aladdin Day.
And no, not the Will Smith as a blue genie version, which is something I haven't seen. 1992 Aladdin. So we're at the point where Phil has been born. I am still conceptualized. So we're getting to the point where Phil and I are alive for these. Phil, how does it feel?
Yeah, it feels good. It feels good. I remember when Aladdin came out, there was a lot of stir going on in the world. I think I remember it very vividly. It was like Aladdin came out, and then I think 2 weeks later, Bill Clinton was elected president, and I think 2 months after that, I turned 1. So I actually don't remember anything.
Remember it immediately.
Yeah, all I know is that Aladdin was around my entire life, and as far as I'm concerned, it was the most important thing to happen in 1992. I don't know about anything else.
Well, the O.J. Simpson car chase was 2 days after the day that I was born. So I'm right there with you on huge American events happening around your day of birth.
I mean, I know we're in the election year, so it's something that sticks in your mind, but it's like Aladdin coming out or Bill Clinton be elected. It's Aladdin. It's always Aladdin. I mean,
Aladdin's Disney wins. Movie. Rewatching this, I think this has been my favorite one yet. And Phil, I was thinking of you the whole time when I was watching it. This is an adventure movie. There's a lot of things flying. There's a lot of caves and jails and jumping over buildings, and it's such a fun movie.
Yeah, it's like what's weird about this one, and I think Beauty and the Beast was the first one that kind of did this style, but this one very much is like a 3D movie, which is really weird to say, but the way that everything is drawn in this movie, it very much looks like a 3D experience. Like you can see where like certain things are behind other things, and you kind of feel like you're in that realm. Like the part where he's on the magic carpet flying through the Cave of Wonders, it kind of feels like you're moving through that with him. And it's really interesting how that's done. So I don't know, like I think this is one of the more fun Disney movies. It's not one of my personal favorites, but I do think it's one of the more fun Disney movies. I personally find, and this is going to be problematic for everybody in the chat who loves the bops, I personally find the songs to be quite overrated in this movie.
So the songs I think are really catchy. I cannot actually sing the lyrics to any of them.
Well, so Rick Devens tweets at me.
Yeah, that was hilarious today.
Because I guess I can't retweet back at him.
I didn't know what he was tweeting.
He tweeted the lyrics to "Never Had a Friend Like Me."
Right. So that's the thing. I like the first song. I don't know what the name of the first song is, but it's really catchy and it's really good. When he's like running
Arabian Nights.
I didn't know.
You forgot the first song is Arabian Nights when the guy's riding through on the camel.
Okay, the second song. See?
Yeah. The second song, I forget what that one's called, but yeah, the second song never really slapped for me. But you know, there's some catchy things in there. There's some good stuff going on. It's just one of those things. One jump. That's what John Millsap's here to help with that. John Millsap.
John Millsap also commented. So there were 2 weeks when I was sick with chickenpox and pneumonia at the age of 2, which sounds awful. I watched Aladdin 2 times every day for the entire 2 weeks. So, Bill, you might have gotten beat there.
You know what? That's fine. I mean, John Millsap knows he's going to know everything about this one, just like he knew everything from Beauty and the Beast, which is good. It's good to have a fact checker in here to make sure that we don't mess up.
we need like a moderator.
Yeah, he's essentially it. I mean, but Gamer Girl and Dylan Randazzo both coming in immediately, just being like, "Here it is, guys. You know, this is the name of the song."
Surviving without Survivor specialists, so we aren't quite specialists in our Disney animated 90s movies. Yeah.
My knowledge starts to become a lot better for the last 4 of this. And like I said, Aladdin is not one of my favorites, so it's one of my least watched. So there's this weird thing that I have with Aladdin. I don't know if people remember VHS boxes. Anybody remember a VHS box? Alexa, you were alive for that. So, you know, there was the ones that had the sleeve, which was just the cardboard paper sleeve, which isn't great. And then there was the other ones, and a lot of Disney movies came in this. It was like, it almost looked like a book, but it was giant plastic, whatever, and you opened it up, and it made like an annoying noise. Well, whatever was on the Aladdin one, for some reason, when I was a child, I would always get a headache whenever I touched it. And I don't know if I was allergic to something in the plastic or something that was just like on the finish on the actual cover of it or what, but I always equate Aladdin with having a headache. And I think that's part of the reason why it's not one of my favorite Disney movies. Although I do enjoy watching it every time. It's just not one of my upper echelon God tier Disney animated classics.
Big words tonight, everybody. Mm-hmm. Upper echelon.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the music's really good. I mean, Whole New World is a fantastic song, but it's like it's lovey-dovey. But this one's one point that I probably should bring up 10 minutes from now. Aladdin and Jasmine have the best chemistry of any two love interests we've had so far. They are feeling it immediately. And I think that carries really well throughout the movie.
Well, I think it's one of those things too. They feel like real people. Whereas like in a lot of the other Disney princess movies, Beauty and the Beast, obviously Beast is not a real person, at least for most of the movie. He becomes a person at the end. He has to find his humanity. But you know, I feel like this is the first time where like we kind of see both of them and like that, you know, it's the whole like you always want what you don't have. She wants to like not live in the castle. He wants to be but they both are immediately attracted to each other. The hair, oh my God, you know. So
her hair is dreamy. So it's great.
So it is. They have great hair. So yeah, I think it works.
Like they're very normal and relatable. Like Aladdin is like a good guy, and Jasmine, she's like, I have no friends. I've lived here my entire life. This sucks. Like they're very. It's not like, oh, I'm a mermaid and I want to leave my entire family for this hot man. It's like, oh, I want to like fend for myself and my monkey who I love, or I want to go fall in love and make some friends and leave this super privileged life I've had. So they just feel more normal.
Yeah, and I think that's what really works for this one. You know, Aladdin, you know, a lot of people can relate to that because it's you know, you're struggling to try to be somebody, gets stopped at the gate after he's like taunting the other prince, and he's like, you'll always be a street rat, you'll never amount to anything. You know, that's something that people can really relate to.
Content.
A lot of street rat content. And then yeah, Jasmine, it's, you know, the whole thing of like, I don't feel like I'm experiencing anything. I need to experience something. I need to like actually have life and all of that. And I mean, you said Jasmine has no friends. Raja is very offended by that because Raja is a great friend.
He was not happy. He's what started off as the LVP. But again, amazing friend is very upset, but then like noses her up the tree because he's an amazing friend.
Because he's a great
also,
friend.
If I had a tiger as a friend, I'd be pretty happy too.
You'd probably also be mauled. So you know, putting it into perspective here. But yeah, I mean, and then Aladdin, he, you know, the writers of this go for the straight up save the cat, where it's he steals the bread. So we're like, oh, he's not a good guy, but how can we save it and make him be the good guy? He gives all of his bread to the orphans or the other street rats, while Abu decides he's going to munch on his really quickly because he wants to eat, and then he immediately feels bad and also gives his up. So now we have our heroes.
Well, I was going to say, who's a piece of shit is Abu. He doesn't want to give his bread away, and then totally screws it up in the Cave of Wonders.
I know.
He can't control himself. He
can't control himself. Well, he's an animal. He's an animal. He can't help it.
He can think for himself.
He can think for himself, but I do love how, like, in all these Disney movies, they decide that this is going to be the realistic one where the only certain animals can speak. And I like how Abu can't speak, but in like half the other movies, like, animals are talking like crazy, but not in this one.
Right. Abu can, you can get his point, like words come out, but they don't really make sense. And then like a magic carpet can almost communicate as much as he can.
Yeah, the magic carpet is great. The magic carpet is very human, which is nice. But yeah, I mean, eventually Abu does give up the bread, but he bites it first, and I don't know how healthy it would be to eat bread that was bitten by a monkey.
In present day, especially, I would not accept monkey consumed bread.
I don't think so either.
Street rat.
So. No matter how nice he was.
No matter how nice his friend was.
Yes. Good point. Good point. So those are our heroes, though. Those are our protagonists, which, yes, it does really work throughout the entire thing. But I think in this one, we have one of the biggest idiots of all time, and two, one of the best villains that Disney's ever had. And we haven't even gotten to the Genie yet, but I think what is so lovable about this movie, and Alexa, like you said, it's an adventure movie, and it's an adventure movie that kind of goes for both genders. Guys love it because of Aladdin, girls love it because of Jasmine. There's both sides you can see to this, which I think is really good. But we have the cartoony characters, and we have the Sultan, who I don't think says an intelligent thing the entire movie, and we have Jafar, who is the ultimate Snidely Whiplash. Look at me with my curly, pointy face.
Bad guys having a curly mustache.
Snidely Whiplash. That's what it is. It's the Snidely Whiplash from what was the cartoon? No. Snidely Whiplash. I forget exactly what cartoon it was, but it was like something Racers or something like that. He was in Dudley Do Right, and then Rocky and Bullwinkle, and then he was in what's the Racers show?
So
somebody get in here.
None of these words mean anything to me.
You don't know who Rocky and Bullwinkle are?
Well, yes, but they was all used in the same sentence.
All right. Well, here I'm gonna do this for you, Alexa, so that you can get an idea. But continue talking, and I'm gonna pull this up. And
at the same time, we were talking about the animal in this movie. It's very historically accurate in that the animals cannot speak. However, Gamer Girl made a really good point that Iago can talk, and he is. I don't even know if I can say he's the best character, because I think everyone is the best character. John Millsap said Wacky Racers. So
Wacky Racers, that's it. Couldn't think of that.
There we go.
Thank you.
Neither of those mean anything to me.
Well, but you're about to have something mean something to you. Don't worry.
Wow, that I could cry. Anyways, okay. So another thing that was pointed out to me, I actually missed this when I was watching, but Robin Williams. Wow, Phil just shared his screen.
You see it?
Oh, that looks like Jafar.
That's what they're going for, though. That's Snidely Whiplash, and he's just the conniving, disproportioned, big curly mustache.
Yeah. Very disproportioned. He has missed every leg day that has ever happened. He is a skinny
Absolutely. Absolutely. Still so dreamy, though.
So this was pointed out to me. I didn't realize this, but Robin Williams voices like 10 different people throughout this movie. Mm-hmm. He voices the narrator and then a bunch of the street vendors too. They're all him, and I completely missed that.
I love how it's blatant. Like once you know it, the initial guy is so blatant that it's him. You don't realize it right away, but as soon as you do notice it, you're like, oh, that's just Robin Williams doing like an Arabian accent. That's all he's doing. Like it's funny though, because at first you're like, oh, I wonder who voices this, and then you think about it, you're like, kind of sounds like the Genie. It really does.
He really just talked to himself the entire movie.
He might as well have. I mean, it's one of the great like voice performances ever in anything. It's just unbelievable. And this movie, like for me, is so great because of all the ridiculous references that are in it throughout.
Yeah, a lot of good. The Pinocchio. Pinocchio. I was like, oh, that's a good little wink. Not that's not a slap in the face, but.
Pinocchio, we have Dumbo, we have the goofy hat on. There's a Jack Nicholson reference in this. There's a Rodney Dangerfield reference in this. There's so many random references throughout, and it's so much funny. So much fun.
So this isn't a reference because, as you know, I've never seen a movie in my entire life.
Yeah.
But I think one of the funniest drops is when, quite literal drop, Aladdin falls from one of the buildings into a pile of fertilizer, but it's Crazy Hakeem's discount fertilizer.
Yeah.
I lost my mind when we were watching
Yeah.
that.
And that's not him who falls. That's all the guards who are chasing him who fall.
Yes, see, I was laughing too hard. I didn't even pay
It makes sense though. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes, we have Sebastian who's in there too. We have so many little references in there that are amazing. It's just great. It's so much fun. And I'm assuming a lot of that came from Robin Williams because a lot of those people were like inspirations to him, and he does amazing what I can't even think of the word, but he does amazing where he just mimics people.
Impressions.
Yes, impressions. Thank you.
Dylan Randazzo says there's also a Beast cameo. He's one of the Sultan's figurines that he is stacking. Caitlin May follows up with another fun fact. The Goofy Hat outfit is from a Robin Williams video he did in the 80s for a Disney World attraction. How do you guys know all of this?
Because they're Disney specialists while we're just surviving without Survivor.
Yeah. We haven't studied this extensively for 5+ years.
No, but it is fun now because I have the Disney Villainous games that I play all the time now, which are board games, and all of the cards are named after like quotes from the movie. And so like a Snake Am I, Gazim, Razul, like I know the name of every bad guy in this movie. I know every line that was coming just because it's all written on those cards. It's very, very fun. Very, very fun. If you haven't played Villainous and you're a huge Disney fan, go buy Villainous. It takes a couple games to get used to, but it is so much fun.
I'm in need of a good board game because it's starting to get cold over here. So
it's a bummer. Yeah, it was a freezing cold 84 today in Southern California. I was really hurting, and although I am going to be in Colorado coming up this weekend, so I'm probably going to die. Probably going to freeze.
You will collapse. And
yeah. Well, there's Caitlin Mink. I actually have a degree in animation. Caitlin Mink.
Wow.
This is not meant to be a negative question because I am in the same boat as you. Do you have a job that is also related to animation? No, and I really mean this because
not have a job.
Yeah, I'm curious if you do because that would be awesome, and I would love to know what it is because, and if you're looking for one, I would love to know what you're looking for because I find people with degrees in the arts. I think it's fascinating because I have one and I'm a fascinating person. So
yeah, asking for Caitlin Mink does not have a job.
Caitlin, welcome to the entertainment industry.
For laughing,
Caitlin, but no, I'm telling you the truth, Caitlin. You are actually you're 99% of the way there by not having a job in the film industry yet. If that's what you want to do, you're 99% of the way there because nobody has a job in the film industry until they do, and it takes forever. Working graphic design, though, that's still pretty cool. Now that everybody knows everything about Caitlin Mink's life. So yeah, hi Caitlin. You've now been put on blast.
Sorry to the other 23 people who are listening to this.
Yeah, but that's okay. They're all feeling better now. They're like, oh, good, I didn't go to school for animation. I still have a shot.
Right. I also liked at the very beginning, Robin Williams #1, also known as the narrator, who talks directly to the camera. We haven't had that yet in anything that we've watched.
Do you know what that's called, Alexa? What the terminology for that is?
First person. I don't know.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Oh, I knew that.
I know. I knew you knew it, and I knew you just didn't realize what I meant.
Yeah, I guess because he's the narrator, but yeah, okay. I know what that is. That is.
I know. I knew you did, and I knew that it would just make you frustrated. But
so let me start this one again. So when Robin Williams #1 breaks the fourth wall and talks to the camera, and he's selling all these goodies, he's trying to sell a box, and he calls it Famous Dead Sea Tupperware. I thought that was also really fun.
Amazing.
I think what they're doing with this movie, and they're learning this. Now we're in 1992. Originally, we started in 1937. They're tailoring these to adults because I'm 27. I'm by no means a real adult yet, but I thought it was funny. And a lot of those references are things that like kids who are watching Aladdin would not have wouldn't have even noticed, but I was cracking up at that.
Yeah, and that's when animation, I feel like, really started to take off. Originally, like, adults still liked, like, Snow White and Peter Pan and things like that. But I feel like animation really makes a difference, and the movies that stand the test of time are the ones that adults can get behind. And I think that's why Pixar has been so successful and why movies like Cars might make a lot of money, but nobody watches them more than once because they can't stand them, is because adults can get behind the whole Toy Story thing. Like there's a real story and there's real heart to it. And I agree, like having Robin Williams in there, who is an adult entertainer. Like Robin Williams, if you ever watch his stand up, he's dropping every curse there's ever known. I mean, it's no shock. He was like a known drug abuser for a long period of time. And so like he has more of like adult humor. What I find really interesting is that right before the COVID lockdown, Rachel and I had to do not a podcast. We had to teach our class for our grad school. We had to do a teaching of The Reluctant Fundamentalist, which is a book.
Were you guys purposely partners?
Yeah, we had to be partners with somebody.
And you chose your girlfriend?
You should have seen the rest of my MFA. So yeah, I hope one of them listens to this because they'll know I'm not kidding.
I really think so too.
You should see the rest of that MFA, and you'll know that the options were limited. But anyway, don't go to that school for an MFA if you're listening, and if anybody from that MFA is listening, do a better job. But aside from all of that, we had to do something where we talked about this book, The Reluctant Fundamentalist. So The Reluctant Fundamentalist is a book, and everybody's gonna have to set this up, but it's a book that is told from the point of view of a Muslim right after 9/11. And so he's telling the story, and it's first-person narration. It's him telling, and you don't know if he's telling the truth or lying. The way that it's written in the opening, Rachel and I made the argument, was meant to be based on Aladdin and this opening with the Robin Williams character, because it was all that any of us knew in 2001 about that area of the world. Like it was a very limited perspective, and people in America were really thinking of it in terms of that. Like that's something that people imagined. So if you read that book, which is a really well-reviewed book, like it's considered like a classic now, I guess, of like that era. And then you watch Aladdin, and we played it side by side. It's literally like the exact same narration. And it's so funny that a writer like 10 years after, 12 years after Aladdin, just like stole what Robin Williams was doing and wrote it into a book and made it work really well.
Did you guys get an A?
We did get an A. We did get an A. Yeah.
There you go. Phil got his MFA, everybody.
Yeah. Like I said, wasn't that difficult. Anyway. Yeah, no, I got something. Rachel just texted me and said, I can't believe you just roasted them. I'm like, yeah, I did. They roasted me.
From the other room.
Took my money and ran. But anyway, I think that that's interesting because it does have a really big cultural impact, because in 1992, it was like, I'm a salesman. I'm going to sell you this. I'm going to do whatever. And like, it sets up the whole story. It's like, oh, I'm going to sell you these trinkets and I'm going to sell you whatever. And then they just come out and they're like, and here's a magic lamp. And it's set into Journey, one of the most important lives or whatever, stories of a young man's life. And then it goes on with Aladdin. So I just wanted to go through all of that. And also,
complain about your MFA program.
Oh, I loved it. It was great.
It's been a while since you let that out. I feel like you needed to.
Yeah.
I know we're still on song number 2, not song number 1. But another interesting point, I believe there is some form of gentleman's club that occasionally pops up throughout the movie. Did you also catch that? Kind of.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Hey, Crypto Daddy just sent us $5.
Thank you, Crypto Daddy. Thank you. I love it. I really hope that that's Will or something. Like he's just coming in here as Crypto Daddy, throwing us $5.
Because so that we have to say Crypto Daddy on while we're live.
Yeah, I did kind of notice that, Alexa. I don't know much more about it. Since you brought it up, I'll let you take the lead.
I also know nothing about those places. Have never know nothing about them. But it's someone said that that's what those things are, and that was well.
Let's talk about this real quick, because this does set the story into motion. Jake BB here. Can we talk about how the whole diamond in the rough thing doesn't make sense? Only one allowed in. Brings the monkey, can't touch anything, plays with a magic flying carpet. That's an interesting point, because you need the diamond in the rough. Abu is able to go in as well. It's not Aladdin who touches anything inappropriately. It's Abu. So really Aladdin didn't do anything wrong. And then the magic carpet is able to fly them on out of there, even though we thought there'd be no way that they'd be able to get out. Although the genie, Aladdin does trick the genie and doesn't use his wish, which is also very smart. So, I guess it doesn't make 100% sense, but hey, that's okay. And we do get some fun stuff in the Cave of Wonders because we have to introduce the magic carpet. Otherwise, we can't have a whole new world. And if we can't have a whole new world, we can't have Aladdin. So
why do we have the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cave of Wonders is a lot. And this movie is an hour and a half. So this is actually the longest one that we've watched yet. This definitely had the most extensive storyline. And this is the first one that doesn't really follow the 5 minutes of a ton of information to like hour of it being slow and then just like super fast ending. I think it's a really well-paced movie. And especially like as we get a little bit later, like we go to the Cave of Wonders and it's like really important at the beginning and then it's really important and then it disappears. And
once they have the genie, they don't need to go back. That's why.
Right, exactly. And then the genie, like at the end, like Genie becomes a bad guy and then like there's all these loopholes and then Jafar's super powerful. A lot happens in like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. It's a really well set up action movie. You get your intro, you get the setup of all the characters. You got your Sultan, Jasmine, Raja. We know what Aladdin needs to be. We get the meet cute, which now has to result in something because, the meet cute.
Oh, okay.
A meet cute, yeah, where like they meet. In rom-coms, everybody has to meet in a cute way. They can't just like they have to bump into each other at a coffee shop, which is so original.
They have to bump into each other while stealing apples.
Yeah, they bump into each other while stealing apples. She's able to get him out of it, but he does get thrown into jail anyway. Jafar lies and says that he was beheaded, even though Jafar then turns into the creepiest looking character in all of Disney movie history. I don't care what anybody says. That old man Jafar is absolutely terrifying.
And I'm telling you, the old men and old women in Disney, I don't know what it is. The ageism is horrifying.
It's really horrifying. And this one's really bad with
this.
Yeah, like the teeth and like the hunch. And I know that Iago's in there, but all of that. It's really, really scary. And so he lies and says that Aladdin was beheaded, which is going to be something that's interesting. Like, I wonder how my parents explained that to me when I was like, what's beheaded? And they're like, oh, it's when you just chop somebody's head off and then they no longer have it.
He's a street brat, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So that all ends and he escapes. And that's how he gets to the Cave of Wonders because the old man takes him. Jafar thinks that he has the lamp. He's very excited, only for Abu to have stolen it, taken it down into the Cave of Wonders. We meet the genie. Is it the best intro of a character in Disney movies or not quite? I don't think it's on the level of Gaston's song, but we'd already known Gaston at that point.
Yeah, Gaston's intro was not as... Gaston's song is the best. It's definitely better than the Genie song, which is still really good. He is the best intro, but he also is just consistently the best. He like becomes the main character and Aladdin kind of becomes a side character. Genie he's super animated. He's very modern. Like Aladdin feels like he's still stuck in like, he's a street rat. He's still in Arabia. The Genie's like more talking to us. He's speaking our language.
Yeah. And he literally sings, "You ain't never had a friend like me," which just comes out of nowhere. And he tells Aladdin all the great things he's going to do the entire time, which is pretty much everything. He's not going to kill something. So he won't kill anyone. Can't bring people back from the dead. Can't make them fall in love with you. You can't have more than 3 wishes. And I think it's you can't kill. He can't kill.
Can't kill anyone. Can't make anyone fall in love with you, and can't bring anyone back from the dead. Yeah. Those are fair. And then Aladdin is able to use his ego against him after he does the whole song and dance. And literally, I mean, what's cool about the Genie too is like the visuals of it, of him turning into like different creatures, different people, all of the different things. That makes it a lot of fun. So, yeah. And again, this is very similar to Peter Pan. I feel like you like Aladdin. It sounds like you don't like the movie, but I feel like you'd like the character a lot because he's a gigantic troll. Like the Genie sings this whole song about like, I got you 3 wishes. Here's what you can do. And then Aladdin just like trolls him into giving him a free wish.
Yeah. You couldn't get me out of the cave.
And then we finally get our first real lesson. It has nothing to do with Aladdin being a good person and helping the children street rat. It has absolutely nothing to do with Jasmine wanting to give up everything she has. It has Aladdin saying, okay, I need to be a hot, rich man to get this princess to fall in love with me. And you know what? It worked.
Well, and I mean, honestly, though, it didn't work right away. Remember, when he comes in, she just thinks it's like any other prince coming in and just going to, overplay his hand and think that he's so great just because he has money and all of that. But but then again, like being a hot rich man definitely helps. I mean, that's
I
not
mean,
gonna.
did you see his hat?
I know. I don't think it's ever hurt anybody before. But what I like about this one is that Jasmine picks up on it pretty much right away.
Yeah, she's sharp. She's a very, very good love.
Very smart woman, which is shocking. But so I re-listened to the Beauty and the Beast one. I re-listened to the Beauty and the Beast one, and I'm like, holy shit, I was bad in that one.
That we went a little far in that. But
I mean, it was great.
I mean, Gaston would know this well. I mean, Jasmine has literally no friends. I'm sure all she does is read, so therefore she's very smart and full of ideas.
Yeah, we don't like that. We don't like people. There was like one
when he has to, give personality.
I think Jafar says a line in here about how, like, because of who he is, she would be so excited to marry him or something. Like, there's a line in there that's really great, and I was like, oh, I got to write that one down, and I forgot to write it down. But so he comes in. She's not really impressed, but she picks up that it's him pretty much right away. Also, what is he? Prince Ali of what?
Prince Ali, fabulous he. I think it's Ali Ababwa.
Ali of Babwa?
So like Ali dash A dash. Babwa.
It's Ali of Ababwa, but it sounds like Prince Ali. Fabulous Ali Ababwa. Yeah, it's like really weird.
Ali of
No, it's Ali Ababwa.
Can you please spell it?
ABAWA.
Well, that's exactly as it sounds.
ABABWA. I'm sorry.
That's a great song. You don't like that song?
No, I like the song. I just always had a hard time as a child trying to figure out what he was saying. Because it's like, is he saying of a blah? Is it just blah blah? Like, what is going on here? Blah blah.
That's all. Yeah, there you go. Good reference. I think that's something that's really interesting in this movie too. So they're in Arabia. I don't know what like their town or country is. They say it.
It's in Morocco, because the only reason I know that is because in Disney World, all of the countries are pretty much based around movies.
Oh, and Aladdin is there.
Aladdin's Morocco, yeah.
Okay. Well, Aladdin's like, check out my dope view, and it looks like the Taj Mahal. I'm like, yeah, that's different. But anyways, I think like the culture really comes out in this movie, and the Sultan actually a few times throughout the movie references Allah, which is really interesting because everything we've watched so far has been generally in America or or Western Europe, so it feels very normal. This like very much had like an Arabian feel to it, and I feel like the references actually fit in with it.
Yeah, and John David Millsap says there it's Agrabah, which obviously they say that. I just they still don't like specify what country it is, but Agrabah it's meant to be. So I'm pretty sure it's Morocco, because that's at least where Aladdin is when I go to Epcot. Okay.
Yeah, when I'm on my fourth beer at Epcot, that's where I go.
Although Caitlin Ming says Arga India / Baghdad equals Agrabah. So
you guys, like, we should not be doing this. You guys,
I'm all about it. You know what? Everybody else can know more, but you all just keep coming in here and making us look smart. We edit it for the Spotify and iTunes. I cut out when it's like Caitlin Mink said. I just cut that out. I'm like Agra, India, and like obviously
just like a 6-minute podcast you're going to upload.
Yes, exactly.
Caitlin Mink actually corrected her spelling.
Yes. That's how she could test us and know that we didn't actually know what we were talking about. Is that it's Agra and we said Arga. But yeah, so no, he comes in Ali Babwa. And so it's catchy, so it works, that's for sure. Yes. And it throws off Jafar's plan immediately, because Jafar's plan was, well, if she can't find anybody to marry, then she'll have to marry me. And Iago is great. I love Iago. Gilbert Gottfried is one of the great. I know Gilbert Gottfried, I think, has since been canceled, but he gives one of the great voice performances of all time in this. I love him as Iago. He's amazing.
Also, in the grand scheme of actors who, and I will say all encompassing actors who get typecast, I don't think there's anybody on earth who has been typecast the way that Gilbert Gottfried has. Yeah.
Well, he's got one of the most obnoxious voices of all time.
So obnoxious.
Yeah. I mean, he's the Geico, he was the Aflac Duck. And I don't think he is anymore. He was the Aflac Duck, though. He was he's that guy in Batman and Robin. I mean, his voice is just so irritating, but it really works for Iago.
Wikipedia says exaggerated shrill voice. That is tough. Could you imagine having a Wikipedia page and they were like, Phil Wood has an exaggerated shrill voice.
I mean, look, Sofia Vergara has made an entire career on having an exaggerated shrill voice. Supposedly, when she speaks in her real life, her voice is normal. She does that for the show and has just since turned it
Really?
into. She has.
It was the opposite. I thought that was exactly what you talked about. Wow,
she just has since turned it into her shtick. And like, I think it was her son or something was like, oh my God, she doesn't talk like this all the time, but now she has started to.
That's awesome. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Good fact.
Never go all the way with that. But so we have the Genie song, we have Ali Ababa. And then and those are really like the two I feel like first main songs, because Arabian Nights feels like a prelude. The other song, like, I guess it's there, but it doesn't ever really do it for me. I guess that's just because I'm a baby. But one step ahead.
I think it counts. It counts. This is the person who didn't know the name of the song, but it's fun. It's a really good intro. I think we gotta count.
Okay, let's count it. But then we finally get to, Aladdin tries to come back, and now he's gotta woo Jasmine. He's got to get her to be convinced. So he comes up and he sneaks onto the thing, which is creepy. It's very Romeo and Juliet, though. Yeah, and
that's cool. You can just enter people's homes.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But it's very Romeo and Juliet. He got up there, which I don't know why she wasn't more concerned with how he got up there, and it didn't really cross her mind that there was some magic going on until after that. But so the Genie is playing one of my favorite things the Genie plays here, which is that B. And I think that B is so funny. And when he says, like, do you want me to sting her? It's just so great, because it's like the Genie is trying to like convince Aladdin to be himself, but also like trying to take like full force like attack mode to make sure it happens. Like, I can sting her. Like, I don't know. Genie's heart's not always in the right place, everybody.
Not, but good. Maybe wingman is actually the wrong word, but like, good friend, like he's very, he's loyal.
Yeah, you've never had a friend like him.
Never.
So she essentially says you should just jump off the balcony, which is pretty rude. And so he does, and he lands on the magic carpet. And now all of a sudden, she's into him. Now it's like, how'd you do that? Oh, you have a magic carpet. You might be the real deal. And this is also when she kind of figured out that it was him. And they go on the magic carpet.
Yeah, when he's like, do you trust me? And they make the same eye contact.
Yes. And she's like, I know who you are.
Oh, I trust you.
You are Aladdin. Nobody else would say, do you trust me to me? Yeah, not with those eyes.
This is like deep, sexy man voice too.
Yeah. Which, let's talk about that. I personally believe.
I was making fun of you, but okay.
No, and I personally believe it's a great song. I believe his voice in A Whole New World is one of the worst voices ever. And it drives me insane, and it shocks me how bad his voice is every time I watch it, because I kind of forget it. And I hate his voice. I think it's a great song. It's very nice. It's very like, I could recite every word to it. I like the idea of it. But his voice throws me off every time, and I feel like the guy can't sing.
I don't think it matches well with Jasmine's voice. It's like deep, but in the wrong octave, I say, as someone who knows.
Yeah, clearly.
Octaves, yes. But I know what you're saying. It didn't particularly bother me, but I did notice it.
It seems like it almost felt like Russell Crowe in Les Mis, where I'm just like, oh man, like, what is going on here? Now, I personally didn't mind Russell Crowe in that because he's the villain, so I don't care. But in this one, it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I kind of wish they would have gotten a better singer for this. Like, it's not doing it for me. It throws me out of it a little bit. I mean, still great lines, great lyrics. I mean,
this date would not do it for you. You are not falling in love.
Honestly, I could do this exact date because my singing voice is about as good as that guy's singing voice, which isn't good. So
exactly.
That's what I have.
Okay, so that happens, and it's very exciting. And they smooch.
They smooch because does Genie push her into it?
It's kind of cute. The magic carpet like lifts him up, and then it's kind of like an accidental smooch, and both their eyes are open, so they're very uncomfortable.
And then they close them because I don't want to look at you.
Yeah, then no one likes to do that.
No. Yeah, no, I like this whole thing. I like it. I like the way it plays out. And then she tricks him at the end, and she's like, what would Abu be doing? He's like, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, I knew it. And he was like, oh, whoops, I don't know what you're talking about, because he slipped up. And then he lies to her and says that he's always been a prince. Sometimes he just goes around and acts poor, which is what she was doing. Right. So she eats that up because, of course, everybody is that selfless, or whatever you want to call it. Selfish, probably a little bit better there.
Either or, yeah.
And then we kind of go back, I think, right? And now we're with Jafar, who has hypnotized the Sultan, and the Sultan has chosen a husband for Jasmine, which will be Jafar.
So this is interesting because we have in Beauty and the Beast, we have Gaston, who is always thirsty for Belle. Jafar is not, like, he never really wants Jasmine. He's just trying to get in.
He wants the power.
He wants the power, wants to get in with the family. And because now we get very Jafar heavy, it does blow my mind that he blows a 3-1 lead here. Mm-hmm. He already has a snake staff that can hypnotize people. That alone should be enough. Mm-hmm. And there's already the dumbest sultan on the planet. You put those two together and he should have this totally in the bag, but totally blows it. And even then, when he gets the lamp, not to totally jump ahead, he's like, I want to be, what are his wishes? I want to be the most powerful sultan in the world.
Yeah. Then he wants to be a sorcerer.
How do you blow this? And he does.
Ask the Atlanta Falcons, because they've done it twice now.
It felt so good.
God, that was brutal yesterday.
Brady.
No, I'm talking about what they did to the Cowboys yesterday too. Same thing. Atrocious.
Oh, well, let me correct that. Love you, Cam Newton. Keep going.
But anyway, so yeah, and this is his flaw. This is his fatal flaw, is that he wants all the power in the world, and power comes with its consequences, like Genie says, and I'm not going to quote this right because I forget, but it's like you have the power of the entire galaxy or something like that, but very small living space. And that's what it comes down to. Like, because Jafar doesn't actually want Jasmine, he realizes once he has the genie, he doesn't need Jasmine. Now he just needs the Sultan. And then once he's the Sultan, he's like, well, screw this, I'm going to be the sorcerer. And then once he's the sorcerer, he's like, sorcerer? I can just be an all-powerful genie. They have more power than any sorcerer. People have to bow to me, but you become a slave once you're a genie, and now you are trapped and can only do what other people say. You have all the power in the world, but that's all you have.
And I think this was a really good ending, because I was waiting for Jafar to just mysteriously fall off of a cliff, because that's how everyone's been dying, or that's how all the bad guys have been dying. This actually tied up very well with how they figured out how to defeat Jafar. I thought that was a really good climax.
Yeah, no, I do love this third act. I think it's fun. There's a lot of like crazy transitions here where it's like, Aladdin pretty much convinces Jasmine to pretend that she's been hypnotized, because Jafar says, I want her to fall in love with me. And instead of the genie saying, no, that can't happen, Jasmine plays along. So I like that entire thing. And then Jafar sees Aladdin in the reflection, so he's able to stop him. And then she gets trapped into the hourglass, and then he turns into a snake. And there's just so many things that happen in like a 5-10 minute span. It's really insane.
Yeah, I think it's a really good finish too. And you have like everyone kind of working together, except for the Sultan, because the original Sultan, because he totally sucks. But Aladdin's trying to help, Jasmine's trying to help, but then she's kind of stuck and like, for the only time in the movie, enters like the damsel in distress kind of role. But the genie like is forced to be a bad guy. It's just it's a very well done.
And I do love how like even when the genie is playing the bad guy, Robin Williams' voice acting never lets up, where he's just like I'm sorry, Al, I got to do it though, and he's just like doing it all like all depressed and like what it's amazing. Yeah.
Okay, so not a big fan of the bops in this movie.
I'm not. But I feel like that's not a very common opinion. I feel like people love the music in this movie. To me, it never hit on the same level.
I think the music, like, I don't know. I like it within the context of the movie. Like it made the movie more fun, but I wouldn't go, like, if I were to perhaps be sitting alone in my apartment right after this, I would probably listen to a Hercules song standalone, or a Little Mermaid song standalone, or perhaps a Lion King song standalone. I would not pick an Aladdin song.
I think that also helps with the fact of like a lot of those movies are real musicians doing the music, whereas in Aladdin, it's not real musicians. Well, I mean, Robin Williams, though, isn't a musician, and he sings a lot of the songs, and I think it works. But again, like, are you going to go listen to Robin Williams sing you a song while you're like studying for a test or something? No. But when you think about The Lion King, Elton John is pretty much the writer singer on all of that. Like, Can You Feel the Love Tonight works out of context completely, which we'll talk about next week. Like, you don't need to have been watching maybe Hakuna Matata. You're not going to be like, man, I got to run home and listen to Hakuna Matata. But when it comes to Can You Feel the Love Tonight, like, that's a song you could listen to at any time. And it's not like about, he uses the damn word vagabond in it numerous times. Like, how do you put vagabond into that song and expect little kids to know what's going on? But it's a great song out of the context because Elton John's the man.
Would you rather listen to a song where they say vagabond 3 times or expectorate once?
I like big words. You know, I'm very intellectual. I listen to the Decemberists, for anybody here who's a fan of them.
MFA, everybody.
I do have an MFA, although I don't know what it counts for. God, anytime I can take shots, I'm telling you, they've really made life a misery. They really have. But I won't say them by name. I'm just saying, if you want to go to an MFA, don't go to the one I went to. I hope they're listening. I really do.
Check out Phil's LinkedIn to see where he went to.
Yeah, I know, it's so brutal. You know what? You did it to yourselves, guys. So anyway. That's I'm trying to think where we were going with that. But yeah, no, I think like the songs in this, because they're being sung by not really musicians, aren't going to necessarily be something that you're like, oh, I got to run home and listen to this. And Dylan Randazzo with a great point here. I also think Aladdin suffers from not having a good villain song like Gaston or Be Prepared. Jafar doesn't have a song, does he?
No, I don't. I think he's also not a singer. No, not many. Jasmine is a beautiful singer, but other than that, I really don't think there are any singers in this movie. And I just got really distracted because Big Raja commented, be the specialist ever look at comments. When a tiger makes a comment, we pay attention.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And John Millsip says, I mean, the cast sang the songs in The Lion King. Elton John just also has versions. Well, it helps that Elton John has those versions because there's no Elton John versions of, A Whole New World. That would help.
Right. Exactly.
That would help.
And speaking of the best Disney animated movie of all time, we are going to be watching The Lion King next week. And I have been born. Phil and I have both blessed this beautiful planet with our presences. And this one's going to be great. I feel like this is the one we'll probably get the most views on. Everybody loves Lion King. This is a movie I've probably seen 20 times. So really excited to take a analytical approach to watching it. And Caitlin Mink says Jasmine's the only princess that is solo in the original movie, which is fascinating because she has a crazy voice. Yeah,
that's unreal. Never would have thought that. That's a fun fact there. And Lion King is one of my all-time favorites. I think it's popular opinion for people around our age to have that. It was the first movie I saw in movie theater, so it makes sense. And
wow. Yeah. My fun fact is that Jasmine was my most commonly used Halloween costume. I was Jasmine pretty much my entire childhood.
I am shocked, Alexa. I'm shocked.
Also, growing up outside of Boston, it was freezing. It would snow on Halloween, and I'd be wearing that flimsy little thing, and it sucked. But yeah, fun fact about me.
It sucks that you grew up outside of Boston. That's what you get for growing up and being a masshole. Yeah. But yes, I forget. I don't really know what happened with Oscars in terms of this movie. I think it was nominated for songs and things like that. I think there was a comment in here, actually. I'm going to pull it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Brandon Chafee, Aladdin garnered 2 Academy Awards as well as other accolades for its soundtrack, which had the first and only number from a Disney feature to earn a Grammy Award for Song of the Year. Theme song sung by Regina Bell.
Theme song?
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Who's Regina Bell?
I don't know.
Oh, we should look into that. Okay, well, that's interesting. Yeah, I feel like Aladdin never got to where Beauty and the Beast got or where The Lion King will get. But I really enjoyed it. I think this movie's a ton of fun.
Yeah, I think it's fun. It's a good movie. I'm trying to see, where is her theme song here? Oh, she does A Whole New World, so it's Aladdin's theme.
Oh,
got it. That makes sense.
Do you know what else is a ton of fun? Rewatching Survivor China this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We are continuing our Survivor China rewatch. We are going to be recapping the second episode. And as Phil mentioned earlier, the week after, spoiler alert to everyone who hasn't watched Survivor China, Leslie Nice gets voted out. And we will actually be having her on the podcast talking about that. And then the week after, we're bringing PG on, who's a huge character in Survivor China. So this has been a ton of fun to be part of this rewatch. we have a couple more surprises planned for it. We think you guys are really going to like it. And, you know, as of, you know, right now I actually think this Wednesday would have been the premiere of Survivor season 41. It's the last Wednesday of September. So, you know, it's a weird season, or it's just a weird like period of time because we're not getting this for the foreseeable future. But we have some really good plans for you guys. A couple of our patrons suggested some good ideas for us. We think you guys are going to like them. So stay tuned for that. Phil concluded his top 100 Survivor daily content, but fret not. We have more daily content for you guys. Phil and I are going through a bracket of what is the greatest Survivor episode of all time for our what tier patrons, Phil?
$20 patrons.
For a $20 patron. So be a $20 patron. We just released a fantastic Q&A. Multiple people asked us about our fast food orders, and we gave them in explicit detail. And then we did a $10 retrospect for our $10 patrons, where we made a Heroes versus Villains cast, but with Disney characters. So if you guys have more ideas, we are about to enter October. So if you have any fun, spooky ideas, let us know. And now is a really good time to become a $20 patron. Sure, we're not doing the buff giveaway because there's no power rankings game at the moment, but I actually think that we
have a lot going on
in the next month is going to be way more valuable than that.
And just to put this into perspective, so I posted this into the Facebook Patreon group. September 23rd is when my #1 episode for my top. So it's Tony. Okay, shocker. When my Tony episode airs is September 23rd. That is 77 straight days of daily content that our patrons $5, $10, and $20 have gotten. And if you are now a $20 patron, you're going to get at least 31 more days of daily content because of what Alexa and I have done with that episode. That's 108 straight days. That's essentially a third of a year. That's a lot. And it could go on even longer than that. This started on July 9th. And for anybody who didn't think I'd actually get through it, it's September 23rd is going to be the last date. So all that's to say, we're listening to the patrons. We're coming up with ideas with the patrons. We're coming up with other ideas for just our podcast and YouTube and everything in general. So make sure you keep checking it out, and good things on the horizon, hopefully, even though Survivor is not one of those things on the horizon.
It is not. So yeah, tune in this Wednesday night. We'll be back with our China recap. And tell your friends who are really into Disney, and especially those who are into The Lion King. We're in for a big week next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a wonderful night, everybody.